What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, and welcome back to another morning after show. We won last night, 2-0 win against Aston Villa at Villa Park, and you see the smiles back on all of our faces.
Just amazing what 3 points can do.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, form team in the Premier League, it's not all doom and gloom at Spurs.
It's amazing when you think about it.
It's actually crazy when, you know, you look at the form table, we're absolutely top there, level points with Man City on a better goal difference, but we're in crisis.
Yeah, can we get this tweet up one second? I mean, why is my phone being all slow? Here it is.
Get my famous tweet up.
Here we are. Only Tottenham could be top of the form table and in the crisis at the same time. Look at that. Our past 5 games, no one's better than us. We can't even do crisis right, can we? We do crisis the wrong way, apparently.
Well, if this is what crisis looks like, I won't say
no,
it.
Don't say it, because you've got to one more defeat and then you're like, get him out. He's rubbish.
Nah. Look, that to be honest, for me, that win yesterday doesn't change anything for me. Mm-hmm. It's just, we got to keep carrying on, keep going. And see where we can end up. But in terms of if I trust the players more and what have you, no. The answer's no.
Yeah, I mean, a Villa side without Grealish was always going to be an easier one to face. And I think it proved they were pretty blunt yesterday, Villa. And although, obviously, Watkins and Traore and Trezeguet, they did ask questions of our defence and they weren't easy to deal with. I think Rodon, Sanchez and Tanganga will be relieved they didn't have that extra bit of quality on the pitch, and I think it saw us through. I think obviously they all had good games, but you don't come away with thinking like they were really that strongly tested.
Yeah, I think we did look shaky in defence at times last night. You can't get away from that. And I do genuinely believe, I know we're never going to know, but I do genuinely believe if Jack Grealish was playing, it would have been a much different game. And, they're a much better side, much different side with Jack Grealish in it without him.
He was the whole team a lift when Grealish
yeah, not only that. Like, you saw the stats that came on the screen in the game yesterday with the chance creation, like over double anyone in their team. You know what I mean? So the guy is head and shoulders their best player by a mile, by a country mile.
Yeah. And, I completely agree with that. And that was in our favour, and we have to take that on board. But you can only be what's in front of you, and going away to Villa with or without Grealish to get 2 goals and to play. So I think to play like we did at 2-0 up as well was pretty impressive. I think I thought we looked really confident. The confidence was flowing through us yesterday at 2-0. I thought a lot of our big players like Ndombele, when we got that lead, you saw the confidence just seeped into their game. You saw that, and we started strutting the ball around quite a bit and playing some nice football at times. And that was some nice to see, and hopefully we can take that into the next game. Hopefully we build that momentum. But if you look at the goals we scored, you could say, the first one, mistake from Martinez, and but to be fair, Lucas kind of makes it a mistake because he kind of nips in ahead of the Villa player. But mistake from Martinez, and they gift us a first goal. And the penalty, you got to say, I thought it was a penalty, but it was one of those where we got a bit lucky with that one as well. It wasn't like Kane earned the penalty. It was just like he missed the ball, it was like silly challenge from Cash, and it was a penalty. Yeah. And so from that point of view, from a Villa point of view anyway, like we got a bit lucky with the goals and we didn't really create. We created a bit, but not too much other than that. So
I thought we were the better side and deserved the win, but it wasn't that all resounding, nowhere near one of the best performances you've seen from us this season.
Yeah, there's two ways. There's just 2 ways of looking at it. I think in terms of in the context of the season and in terms of on the back of those 2 performances against Arsenal and Zagreb, where we were just so bad and so woeful, and the team really did lose trust, and the manager, you would have to say, have a lot of the fan base after those 2 games. I think it was important that we didn't let this game pass us by, and it wouldn't be easy for this game to be ended like 0-0 and like both teams have a bit of a drab performance kind of thing, and us to be low on confidence. But I thought we did kind of have a lot more aggression to our game. I definitely felt that, and I felt like we were definitely pressing them a bit higher, and we weren't making it as easy as we made it for Zagreb and Arsenal to play through us.
But you know what? At the end of the day, at this stage of the season, you just need to get the points on the board. It doesn't even matter how you play at this stage of the season, because when you're in a position like we are, we just need to get points. And if we're getting the points, I'm not really asked about how we're playing right now, as opposed to like maybe earlier on in the season where I was.
Yeah. I think there's something to be said about that, but I think also, after those 2 performances we did have, we had to show something, some fight, and I think we did.
We did that.
I think we did show some fight, and we could have easily folded, and it could have easily been like a 0-0 yesterday, but it wasn't, and I think we deserved all those 3 points. And to be fair, yes, it was a mistake for Martinez, but if it wasn't for Lucas running every single inch he did yesterday and trying every second to win the ball back as high as possible, then I don't think that goal happened. So you got to give credit to Lucas there for that goal.
I'm not sorry. Go on, carry on.
Because I was going to say when if you probably take a picture of Martinez when he passes the ball, like Lucas probably isn't favourite for that ball, and the fact that he does nip in there and just about win it off, I think it was Cash, but I'm not sure, but the fact he does win it is credit to him, and you can't just put that down to a mistake. But from a Villa point of view, it's a bad error, yeah.
Yeah, but if you're as aggressive as Lucas, you force the opposition into mistakes, and that's what happened in my opinion. There's a comment here. I can't see where it's gone now or who it's from, but he says she says that we tactically outdone Aston Villa yesterday.
Did we tactically outdo Villa? I think playing the 2 strikers up front probably threw them off a bit. I probably don't think they were expecting that. I think that definitely did help because it gave us a couple of targets to aim for and made it a bit difficult for them to keep winning possession back. But I don't know if we tactically outclassed it. I think it was just an even game between 2 teams who weren't that too different. But I think we had a bit extra quality there. And I think when we put the basics in like we did yesterday, that quality is always going to shine through. And as long as we're doing the right things and doing the fundamentals, you can grind out those results like yesterday. I don't think it was a particularly great performance, but I just think we ground it out because our quality shone through because we were putting in those hard yards which we haven't been doing. So
no one's going to complain if we put that kind of effort and desire in the game and lose a game, are they?
Exactly.
I mean, that's all we ask for the team, to put your 100% all into the game. And the quality will shine through when you do that. We've got a super chat here from Soufain Zerad saying, new system, new players, I don't mind the football. And yeah, that's exactly what I was saying pretty much. But look, I want to tell you guys to tag us on Twitter to anything you want us to react to. We're going to be going through Jose's press conference last night as well. And then obviously we're going to be looking at the headlines in the papers. So what shall we go through first? Shall we look at a few tweets and then go to the press conference?
Who've been tweeting us? We got one tweet from Unseen Shadow 13 says, I think the squad that played yesterday should be the squad we keep going into next season. Anyone else y'all want to keep? Plus Sonny, of course. Who was left? So he's saying anyone left out the squad yesterday, he doesn't want in the squad.
Well, let's look at the players that weren't in the squad yesterday.
You had Doherty, you had Aurier.
Starting the complete squad. So it was Doherty, Aurier, Winks. Yeah. And Toby.
Is
that the only 4?
And Son.
Son aside because Son's injured.
Yeah, I mean...
But so they claim that Aurier and Toby were ill as well.
Yeah, they claim Toby and Aurier were ill.
But they don't claim anything was wrong with Doherty and Winks.
No. Just left out.
Maybe those are the levels. Like Doherty and Winks completely bottom of the pile. Toby and Aurier can actually turn it around. Well, I don't think they need to, but I think they both had good seasons. And maybe... Yeah, and that's it. And Son was injured.
Well, here's a tweet, apparently, from Def Central, which is a Real Madrid fanzine. This is quite interesting. Real Madrid have decided they will not activate Sergio Reguilón's buyback clause this summer. They can still activate the clause in 2022, but they have hope in bringing in Alaba this year will mean alongside Mendy they are well covered at left back. It's good news.
Good news.
That is good news.
Although I feel like Reguilón needs to shape up a little bit the last couple of games.
Yeah, I mean, look, everyone has bad games. I think he definitely did have a bad game. I thought he wasn't great against Zagreb when he came on. I didn't think he was good against Villa either. But
Arsenal.
I think he's or Arsenal. But I think he's having a good season.
He is having a good season, but I just said the last couple of games need to shape up.
Yeah, you can say about everyone. Everyone in the squad needs to shape up last couple of games.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't just put that on Reguilón. But I'm pretty good. I'm pretty happy if that's true. Hopefully that's pretty reliable. And that makes sense. They're getting Alaba. No need for Reguilón. No need to get them. I want to see if I can. I wonder if I could get the screenshot because I want to see. I want to show just the look how Matt Cash really does have an advantage there. On
just take a screenshot, put it on your phone.
Can I put it on my?
Yeah,
I can't
airdrop it
because the camera roll doesn't work.
Oh.
And when I show it, it makes it big, like last
You
time.
can tweet it, maybe.
I could tweet it myself. Maybe. Anyway, let's any more tweets.
Yeah, just tweet it from your computer, just with the text.
Okay, one sec.
But yeah, as we were saying about the players that weren't in the squad at all yesterday, do you think it's curtains for them? For me, I'm happy to see Doherty and Winks go. I am.
I mean, the way Winks, what I've seen from Winks, to be honest, since the turn of the year,
From the ultimate
especially.
Winks apologist, this is coming.
Yeah, I mean, he's been pretty disgraceful, I must say. And it's really been hard to watch a lot of the time. And I think the fact that Mourinho has banished him says a lot, because I think at back end of last season, he was playing Winks every game, and I thought Winks was playing quite well. I remember he was going through a bit of a good patch, and I thought this was going to be a season where we really see Winks come into it. But he hasn't taken the opportunity, and he's been a bit like Danny Rose. I think he's been far too focused on other things rather than himself. He's focused on getting back into the Euros. He's focused on, I don't know, other like distractions rather than making sure he can be the best he can be in his position. I think there's a player there if he applies himself correctly. But I think he is worried about his place in the team in terms of getting to the Euros. He wants to go to Euros of England, and he's got
With that attitude, he ain't.
I know, but he's got a he's got the attitude of getting into the Euros, and I think he is undermining what Mourinho wants to do because he's being selfish, I feel, a lot of the time. And I think a lot of the time maybe it's like his agent maybe saying all these things to press and stuff like that, because there must be a reason why it's like he seems really out of favour with Mourinho. There seems to be something wrong there with him and Jose. Now? He's 24, 25. So he's not young, but he's not old either.
Where do you think his kind of level is at in the Premier League if he was to leave us?
I think it'd probably be a mid-table team.
What, like a Southampton or something like that? Yeah,
I think
he'd fit in quite well with Southampton, to be fair.
And I wouldn't even be surprised if he played Southampton week in, week out and did well for them. But
Winks, Romeo, Ward-Prowse,
exactly.
Middle three.
Well, they like a middle two, don't they? Southampton, they play 4-4-2.
So would he get in with Romeo and Ward-Prowse there? And
you have to say if Ward-Prowse is ahead of him at the moment, but
he's their captain.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he definitely can't get in, but I think he's just too focused on that kind of stuff. And then when he's not picked, he kind of sees it as Mourinho lessening his chances of getting into the Euros, and then it leads to him getting frustrated and he kind of seems like he's being pretty petulant at the moment, because he's not knuckling down and saying, okay, you're not picking me, I'm going to improve every day.
These noises were coming under Poch as well.
They were. So one sec.
So I mean, Winks seems as though that he is a bit selfish, kind of just playing for himself at the moment.
I think all those quotes when it came all those quotes a few months ago now, when he said, "Oh, I need to get back into Euros. I need, if I'm not playing and stuff, I need to consider my like he feel like I can understand if you're Harry Kane, right, and you're saying, like, if I'm not playing well, maybe I need to, like, consider my options because, like, obviously I should be playing. But, like, when you're Winks, you need to be proving yourself that he's never proven over a long period of time that he can really be that player that we need him to be. He's done it in fits and spurts, and he's had a few good games here and there. And he's never really shown that he's that consistent player.
Who's he trying to scare? Like if Harry Kane comes out and says that, you're like, oh, shit, like, we need to get this guy on the pitch because he's actually top quality. But when Winks says something like that, like, what are you thinking? All right, get out the door then, or whatever. Like, who cares? Cut your losses and go and move on. Like, nobody's going to be bothered if Winks moves out the club, you know what I mean? As it stands.
Yeah, I mean, as it stands, I think he's not good enough at all. And I think it's more his mentality than his quality. That's what's holding him back, I feel. Because I do think he has quality. I think he can be a good player. And but I think at the moment, he's the kind of player, though, that if he's not really physically engaged in the team and he's not pressing well and he's not 100% on it physically, then he doesn't offer too much else. He kind of has to be he has to be running those extra yards because he doesn't have a quality of an Ndombele. He's not as physical as a Højbjerg, so he has to make it up in other ways. So he has to work harder than them, and I think he feels like he's better than he is. I feel, and he's at a club at Spurs where if he like there is a place in the team for him if he really really wants it, but at the moment it doesn't seem he seems like he'd rather just move to a club where he'll be the first choice and automatic figure rather than fight for his place.
At the end of the day, his attitude stinks. It really does. His attitude stinks, and I think we saw a few slight signs of that under Poch as well. And he's got a problem in Ollie Skip coming back to the club as well. Because there are very high hopes for Ollie Skip for next season, and he's having a smashing season out in the Championship for Norwich.
Can't get the team now. Forget Ollie Skip. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is Ollie Skip is going to go straight ahead of him in the pecking order when he comes back if he stays here.
Yeah, he's rightly so. I mean, and you judging by how Skip has applied himself in his loan move, he seems like a model professional and someone to be playing week in week out for your Championship side, like who are top of the Championship at that age, to be absolutely killing it like he is, and he's literally being apparently he's just every game consistently putting in top class performances. That's what you got to show, and that's the kind of mentality you need. And this guy's in the Championship doing that, and like. I feel like Winks, if he was in the same position, he'd just be like, I'm better than this. I don't need to be here, kind of. I think he got to the Champions League final with Spurs, and he was playing a lot and stuff like that. And he started the final.
He played every game in the run-up to the Champions League final.
I don't know if he did, because he was injured, didn't he? Wasn't he injured a bit? I think maybe the second leg
he played the majority of the group stage games.
I don't think he played second leg of the Ajax game.
I'm not sure about second leg, but he played Dortmund, didn't he?
So I remember
him
and Kane were both coming back from injury. Long-term injuries when they started the final.
But I'm trying to think of the run-up. He played the Dortmund game, didn't he?
I think he might, but I can't remember.
I'm not sure if he played Man City, though. I'm not sure if he played Man City.
I don't think he played Ajax. Anyway, I think after that...
Yeah, that's it. Winks didn't play the quarters and semis at all, but he played a lot in the...
Well, that's telling anyway.
Well, I think it was because of more injury than it was...
I know, but still, we got through and he didn't play.
Yeah.
But I guess you said the same about Kane, but... I think he thought after that he was better than he is. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
And I did think last season, to be fair, he had a pretty good season. And especially also when Mourinho came in, I thought he was playing quite well. I remember the back end of last season after lockdown. I thought he was playing quite well. I thought he was putting in some really good games. So this season, I think he's had extra competition with Højbjerg coming in. I think that Ndombele's obviously dropped deeper, and he's playing, and he's kind of taken that role. And instead of Wink saying, "Okay, this is a new challenge. I'm going to fight for my place," he's like, "Oh, if I'm not getting more game time, I'm just going to move, and I'm going to get him. I'm going to go somewhere.
Attitude stinks.
Nah, mate, come on.
Attitude stinks. Shall we take a look at Jose's press conference last night?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's show this tweet then. What I was talking about first.
First of all, John Barry says Sim's favourite board game is Tiddlywinks.
Tiddlywinks. I've never played that before. This is the picture I was talking about of Lucas. In terms of look, so this is the moment where Martinez is passing the ball there. You can see how Lucas is quite far back from Cash, and the fact that he got there first. So yes, it was a mistake from Martinez, but on the flip side, you have to give credit to Lucas there for having the initiative to get to steal in front of Cash and get there first and pinch the ball, because Cash was definitely favourite to that when the ball is played. And Lucas does really well to nip in there first. It just shows, he's been doing that for the past few games now. Lucas winning those balls high up the pitch, winning those. And tackles.
That's what we've been missing so much. Just someone that can do that. I mean, I know we didn't do it against Arsenal, but that's exactly what we needed against Arsenal on a consistent basis. Someone to just terrorise their defence, keep going at them, and you can see you can force defences into mistakes. Not even mistakes, but you can just beat them to the ball as well.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, from Villa perspective, it is a mistake. From our perspective, we have to capitalise on that, and we did well too. But yeah, let's take a look at Jose's press conference yesterday after the win. Let's see what he said.
Just
audio there. There you go. Got it.
Hello, Jose. Congratulations.
Hello. Thank you.
How pleased were you with the performance today, especially after this week, and also the fact that both goals came from your players kind of getting the ball back and setting up the chances?
I'm very happy with the result. I'm very happy with the performance. I'm very happy with the attitude. I'm not happy with the feeling that if you did it tonight, why you didn't 48 hours ago?
You can see he's so pissed off with the team.
That match on Thursday will be a scarf for a long time. It's not going to heal just because we won on Thursday. Will be a scarf for a long time. It's not going to heal just because we won. But total credit to the players. They were a team. They fought together. They put in the game that dignity, that honesty, that a football player should put in every match. And I think the next challenge for this team is to have a performance like this one, not as a reaction of a bad or couple of bad results, but to have this attitude, this state of mind, this collective soul, to have these every game. We are going to lose matches, we are going to play bad, but to have these human qualities in every match, I think is the next challenge for the team.
Yeah, and look, I think he's completely spot on. Absolutely, to everything that he absolutely said yesterday. I think especially there, you know what I mean? Like, why are we putting in these performance 48 hours when you're showing that kind of application in the game? 2 games before that, you're showing that kind of application in the Crystal Palace game, in the, what was the other game? In the Burnley game. You know what I mean? Even in the Fulham game where we weren't at our best, we still showed good application and desire and attitude on the pitch. Why are you not showing that every game? Why are you not showing pride in your work? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yes, what he said. He said the next day, he said it's all well and good playing like this performance today, but the challenge now is not to do this just as a reaction to the rubbish that you did. It's to do on a consistent basis. This should be your baseline. Like yesterday's performance should be when you're not playing well. That should be our performance, basically. That should be a bad game for us, not a game where we sit up and say, oh, we played well today. That should be like...
That's the marker.
Exactly. That should be like when you're at your worst, that's the performance we should be putting in. And I think, and I agree with Jose. And it's a shame that he has to pray, like... I know we praised us because, you know, we won and we worked hard and whatnot, but like... He should be coming out and he should be like, yesterday should be like, the narrative should be that's a professional performance, that was a good win, and we move on to the next game kind of thing. But it shouldn't be like he has to like praise us and say like, oh, I'm very happy with the lads today and the application we put in. That should just be the benchmark. That should just be the baseline. And unfortunately, it hasn't been out this season. And he also said Thursday night is going to leave a scar for a long time, and it's not just one performance that will heal it. And I think he's absolutely right on that. I think
what does it take to heal the scar of that game?
I think we have to go on a consistent run of winning performances, and I think top 4. I think you have to get top 4 to heal that scar, man. Yeah, I think we really do have to get top 4 to heal that. I think, or if we win the cup final. And we run it close for top 4. We'll have to maybe that'll be okay as well. But
I still don't think that will completely heal that scar though. If we miss out on Champions League football,
it's just that really hurt, and it was just one of our most embarrassing, if not the most embarrassing performance maybe we've ever had in Europe. I can't think of a more embarrassing game we've had in Europe.
I can't think of in a cup 2-legged tie competition a more embarrassing result in my lifetime of supporting Spurs. Never mind Europe.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I was there when we lost 3-0. We lost 4-3 to City when we were 3-0 up at half time, and they were down to 10 men. That's probably up there. That is definitely up there. But
Man City weren't the Man City of now.
They were not. They were a team literally like battling relegation. I think Kevin Keegan, in fact, I remember that game. If there were rumours that if we would have lost, he was going to lose his job. That game, and they were 3-0 down.
You had players like John Macken, who you probably never even heard of, that scored against us
Joe
that
Barton
game.
Got sent off at half time. And then you got Michael Tarnat, who was like ancient. Paul Boswell was old, and they somehow, I don't know how they did it, but they won that game 4-3, and that was embarrassing. That was one of the most embarrassing things. I remember losing to the Arsenal kids. That was embarrassing in the Carling Cup semi-final when we had a full team out and they literally played all their youth. That was embarrassing. I still
don't think that's as embarrassing as the Zagreb game.
7-2 against Munich. That was pretty embarrassing. I would say the Newcastle 5-1. That was quite a bad day for us.
Yeah, but I still don't think any of them are anything like what we did against Zagreb.
Colchester, that was bad. Yeah, Grimsby. That was an embarrassing
My first
day.
away game ever.
That was embarrassing. That was because that was League Two. They were League Two, right?
League Two, yeah. Last minute
losing
goal.
to them. That was embarrassing. This is not a. I don't know what we're going through here. Our most
embarrassing moments.
Every time we've shat the bed. I'm trying to think of our most embarrassing moments, but I think that might top it. Honestly, losing after being 2-0 up and losing.
Well, we went out to Ghent. That was pretty embarrassing as well.
Yeah, but at least that was embarrassing. But at least in that game, a home game, we were down to 10 men for most of the game. We really should have won it. I remember.
Played well.
We played quite well,
didn't we?
We really should have won it. And it was an own goal from Kane that cost us. I remember he got an unlucky own goal, and then we went against
going
us.
out the group stages in the Champions League that year. That wasn't great.
That wasn't good either.
In a group where you really thought we would have got through, Monaco, Bayer Leverkusen, and who was the last one?
Moscow as well.
Moscow.
Yeah, Monaco in the end of the day got to the semi-finals that year, so it wasn't as embarrassing as we thought. But you could say under
Brighton,
AVB when we were getting battered every week under AVB.
Oh yeah, that Liverpool
and Chelsea, and we got back. We had so many batterings that year. City beat us 6-0. Chelsea beat us 4-0. Liverpool beat us 5 and 4-0.
I don't know if you remember this, but back in the 90s, we lost to Chelsea.
Oh no,
we lost to Chelsea. No, well that as well, but we lost to Chelsea 4-0 twice in the space of a week.
Yeah, no, didn't we lose 4-0 3 times in a row?
Yeah,
2 against Chelsea and 1 against United.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that was early 2000s. I think 2001 or something. Or
and
2000.
then we were 3-0 up against Man United. We lost 5-3.
Yeah.
It's happened quite a few times against United, to be fair.
Bloody United. 3-0 away to Brighton. That was pretty bad. But I honestly don't think any of them are as bad as this one. But I'll tell you why. Because we had so much pinning on this Europa League. Like, this was so important to us. Like, the FA Cup when we lost 4-3 to City, yeah, we lost it. But, like, it wasn't like we were pinning all our hopes that year on winning the FA Cup. It was just like we obviously wanted a good cup run and stuff. But it is what it is. But with this one, like, a lot of our season was revolving around the Europa League. And to put in a performance like that when we're 2-0 up away in Croatia was just so embarrassing. Mm-hmm. It was so embarrassing. And I don't know. I can't think of too many times we've been more embarrassed than that game. I think that was the most important, one of the most important games.
I agree.
And it's tough to find one that's more embarrassing than that. But all right, let's
keep going with the press conference.
Okay, we're going to go to Jonathan Ville.
I can't hear.
Is the audio on?
Hi there. This is the third time that we get featured since we're going to Hugo's recent interview after Thursday's match. I'm just wondering what you thought of that interview and whether you recognise anything that he said.
I didn't watch it. Didn't listen to it. I closed myself in my shell, as I was saying before. I don't need to read, to listen, or to watch, to try to have a personal reaction. I am a very mature guy, and I have this emotional stability, and I don't need to read or to listen. So I was not interested. I was interested in analyze things, in think about the best approach that I could have with my players, and to focus on my job rather than reactions after the game.
You believe him? You think he didn't watch it?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I wouldn't be. You think he watched it? I wouldn't be surprised because a lot of times I feel like just shutting myself off and thinking, whatever, I'm not going to listen to anything. I know, like, a lot of times after a really bad defeat, you just want to shut yourself off and don't want to watch anything.
But sometimes you just can't help yourself, though.
Like, I remember, like, I'm scrolling through YouTube, and after a bad defeat, like, you got, like, the kickoff saying is, like, Mourinho finished. I'm like, I don't want to watch this. I don't want to watch them just talk about how finished Mourinho is and all that stuff. Like, I just want to shut myself off.
But then sometimes you're watching a video, and then it just automatically goes onto that video after the video you're watching. And then you just somehow find yourself watching it.
Yeah, be interesting. Yeah, I don't know if you didn't watch it, but whatever. There's not much to our answer. I guess
there's only one more question left, isn't there, in the press conference?
There's about 4 more minutes. Yeah, let's carry on.
Let's go to Dan Kilpatrick.
Hi Jose, could you talk us through your selection decisions today after Thursday's game? I mean, some players have come in, some players on the bench, some players not in the squad altogether. I mean, what was your thinking in picking today's 18?
My thinking was we need angry people. We need fresh and positive feelings. We need kids on the bench that live a dream, kids that if you play them 10 seconds, they play these 10 seconds like it is the last 10 seconds of their career. I need people on the pitch that I know that the match is really important for them. A Tanganga, a Joe Rodden, this kind of players. And I think this kind of positivity is something that the team needed, and I think was good. I saw that. I think the two best defenders of our team were Harry Kane and Vinicius. In the first half, they didn't have a shot. In the second half, of course, there is always a corner, there is always a shot, there is always a second ball. But when you start defending with your two strikers, the team is solid and the team is in control. So we had lots of positive things, and of course I understand, and they deserve this individual praise. Crazy performance by Lucas, Harry, Pierre. We had some fantastic individual performances, but for me this is the victory of that dressing room, the victory of their spirit, the victory of a group that felt ashamed with what happened in the last week, and to be ashamed, I think, is a man's reaction. You know, don't care, don't give a shit is not from man. To be ashamed, I think, is a man emotional reaction which they had, and I'm very happy for them.
Okay, last one from Jack.
Well, that was
again absolutely spot on.
But the bit he said at the beginning, we need angry people, we need positive feelings. I mean, that's what we need.
Mm-hmm.
And you think about the starting 11 yesterday. He said we need people who the game is important for them.
Tanganga, Joe Rodden.
You think about starting 11, only, as I said, I was talking about this on the post-match fan show, only Lloris, Sanchez, Lucas and Kane, you would say, were really part of that the Poch team from for years, really. The rest of the team, you got Tanganga, Rodden, Reguilon, all young, all looking to prove themselves, all know that every performance is very important. You got Ndombele, Højbjerg, Lo Celso, all didn't really play that much under Pochettino. Højbjerg is a new signing as well. We know Højbjerg's standards is set very high, and Lo Celso and Ndombele know that every game is important for them. And Vinicius, who's obviously making his second start in the Premier League, so
I thought he applied himself well last night.
Yeah, I think he offers something a bit different in terms of physically. He makes those runs in behind, and he asks different questions of the back line. Whereas, his hold-up play might not be that great, but he might get on the end of stuff. Like, he got the poacher's goal, and if you remember in the second half, he could have got a second. If it wasn't for a miscontrol, he could have easily had a second poacher's goal, and that's a different threat. Whereas Harry Kane, obviously, he can do that poacher's role, but he's doing so many different things. Sometimes he's not always in that position to snap up loose balls when a shot comes in and stuff like that. So it's good to have someone else there linking with him and making those runs and being a threat when Kane is occupied doing the creative stuff. So that was pretty good.
I think it's spot on, and I think that when you're talking about these players, he's talking about the kind of fringe player, the fringe poch players. They all just got a bit too comfortable at Tottenham, and I think we just need to try and move as many as we can on this summer, and see where we go. Because also, if he wants to bring in the players we need, not only do we need to sell for the money, but we need to sell for the spaces in the squad as well. Mm-hmm. So,
but what the most interesting one for me is Eric Dyer, because Dyer now, how many games has that been since he started in the Premier League? He started, obviously, Europa League against Zagreb both times.
I'll get it up now.
But I don't think he's played since... it was before Burnley. I don't know what game that was. Was it West Ham?
Let me tell you. I'll tell you. Because he played in the Europa League, obviously.
Yeah, but his last start in a Premier League game.
Eric Dyer.
His last start, it must be a while.
His last start in the Premier League was West Ham.
Yeah, it was West Ham. So that's quite telling, I think. That's
also,
quite telling.
Before that, he played West Ham and Man City, but then he was on the bench for West Brom, on the bench for Everton, on the bench for Brighton. So the last Premier League game he played in that we won was Sheffield United.
Which was in January?
January. The back end of January, 17th.
So I don't know what's going on there because he was.
I think we all know what's going on there.
No,
he's a liability. That's what's going on there.
Yeah, I know that. I'm saying, but he was one of the more trusted members of Mourinho's team, and he really did trust him. I felt at the beginning of the season he was like his
all the
reliable
snakes
side.
are all going to be weaned out over time, and that's what we're seeing with Eric Dyer. That's what we're seeing with Harry Winks. That's what we're going to see with Matt Doherty. All these players that are not good enough, they're going to be sieved through as Jose kind of shapes his squad throughout the season, how he's tried and tested methods. But you really would have thought that at the back end of last season, he would have seen a bit of this, and why it's taken him so long to find these flaws in Eric Dyer.
Well, I think you have to have a bit of sympathy in that sense because of the whole situation with Corona. Or I think like last season we had that run from when he first came in up until March, where it all went wrong. Obviously, we had that. It was going okay up until we had all those injuries, and then everything really went to a bit to shit.
Yeah.
And then after we came back from lockdown, I thought we were pretty solid. I think 9 games. I think we had like 6 wins or something.
Even
wins.
So he's still always going to let you down, though.
Yeah, you could say that, but I think he hadn't proven that yet. You know what I mean?
You know, the penalty against Man United when we got back from lockdown. Wasn't there a few more?
Yeah, but again, that game, he gave penalty away, but he had a great game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but this is what we say about Eric Dyer.
Yeah,
you know?
but I get that, but he hadn't proven it consistently. Now, this season, he's literally played a lot of games, and he's proven consistently he's always going to let you down. In that period, I don't
under
think...
Jose, yes.
What?
Under Jose, he hadn't proved that.
At centre-back. He's moved to centre-back, right? He only moved against Wolves, which was just before lockdown when we played Wolves. We lost 3-2. And again, he had quite a good game then. And then that was his new role in centre-back. He said, I'm going to play centre-back now. And then from then he gets a new position. And then from that point, you've got to give him a chance to run a game to prove whether he's good enough. And then after lockdown, he got banned, didn't he, for 5 games. So, a few games he didn't play, and obviously you can't judge him then, and then he came back for the last game of the season and whatever, we drew, but he had a few good games where he had a good game but made a mistake and whatnot, or he already had a good game, and we had a pretty decent run. I remember we played Everton, we won 1-0, he had a good game then, and so you come into the new season, okay, he's going to be one of my centre-backs and I'm going to give him a chance, and beginning of the season, by and large, yeah, he gave away that penalty against Newcastle. Apart from that, though, up until like November time, he was having a pretty good season. I thought he was okay. He was pretty good.
Him and Toby formed a good partnership.
Yeah, so then you'd say, okay, he's all right. But then since then, he has pretty consistently let us down, and now he's been dropped. So I think it's a bit harsh to say Jose should have realised earlier, because I think he has realised when it was appropriate.
Look, I think that I just think he should have realised earlier, because he seemed to treat Eric Dyer differently to he treated a Toby Alderweireld, the way he treated a Davinson Sanchez. I think Eric Dyer got special treatment for some reason.
Yeah, but he's not anymore.
I'm not sure why that was.
It's tough to say. It's tough to say why he kept relying. Maybe he really wanted to make sure he was being fair with him. I don't know. But
why didn't Toby get the same treatment when Toby is clearly the best centre-back at the club? Everyone could see that. Even at the back end of last season, everyone could see that.
Yeah, I agree. He was putting in some really great performances at the back end of last season.
And then there was a stage at this season where Toby just got banished for like a month. I know we're seeing that with Eric Dyer now, but that's the right decision now. Before it wasn't the right decision. When we were seeing a back two of Dyer and Sanchez, it was comical at times.
But what I'm saying is Dyer hasn't been awful the whole season. Up until like November time, he was pretty good. So to just banish him straight away would have been harsh, I felt. But I think now, it's fair, because he's proven over consistent like 10 games or something. He keeps letting us down. He keeps putting in bad performances.
Yeah, but you know what? Even without being fair, you know, you look at the fan base will look at Eric Dyer, and everyone would have told you he's not good enough to be our first choice centre back. Everyone would have told you that. But Jose kept persisting with him, kept persisting with him.
What choice did he have?
He's got Sanchez, he's got Toby, he's got Rodon. That's what choices he's got.
Yeah, but he's played them. He's played them all.
Rodon, not that much.
I know Rodon, not that much.
But like I said, he gave Dyer special treatment that he didn't give the other two centre-backs. Why?
Because he was giving him he was giving him a fair chance, I guess. I don't know. Look, you might have a point. Maybe he should have done it earlier, but I think it's a difficult one. It's difficult to level that criticism at Mourinho, I think, because I think that he's got 4 centre-backs to choose from, and he can't not play one, never. Even Sanchez and Toby, when they've been banished, they've had to come back in. We were both
saying it at the time, why is Eric Dyer one of Jose's undroppables? We've been saying it for the majority of the season, past that stage where we went 4 games without conceding a goal. After that stage of the season, he's been shocking. Mm-hmm. And we've all been saying it consistently. Why is Eric Dyer one of Jose's undroppables? I know he's been dropped now, but at that stage of the season, why? It made no sense.
He just had faith that he was going to turn it around, I guess.
Yeah, it just made no sense at the time.
And
but look, he's he's not in
the team anymore, and that's I think that's very telling at the moment, because to go from one of your undroppables to not in the team at all, I don't know if that stinks of an attitude problem or it stinks of him losing trust in Dyer. It's interesting.
Since he made that comment in the press.
Ever since he said that.
And I remember talking to you at the time about it, and I was like, I just don't like that comment. There's something strange about it. You argued against me at the time, but
maybe it is something.
It seems right. It seems right, because that attitude stinks to talk about. My performances has been all right. He was happy with his confidence levels and his performance levels, and everyone else around him could see that's not right.
Yeah, and I think at the time when he was talking about that, his form wasn't maybe as bad as it is now. It was bad. It was like at the start of that bad period, potentially.
I think it was.
Or like midway.
I don't think so, because he's hardly played a Premier League game since.
I'm trying to remember when those comments were made.
He's hardly played a Premier League game since.
Yeah, that's true. But every time he's playing Europa League, he's been pretty shocking though. Mm-hmm. He's been really bad.
That's what I'm saying. So the comments when Eric Dyer made those comments were completely uncalled for. Completely uncalled for.
Well, yeah. He said, what did he say? He said, I don't feel my confidence is it's not a confidence issue. He feels his levels have actually been okay this season, but his form has been a consequence with the team's form as well. Yeah. Something like that. And I think he should have been more accepting of how frustratingly bad he's been.
Sometimes you need to take a long, hard look at yourselves, put your hands up when you've done wrong, come out, accept that you've done wrong, and try better to improve, and not just come out and say, all right, this is as good as I'm going to be. I'm happy with
it. It hasn't really helped.
That's true. That's true.
But
Doherty's quality is just poor, isn't it?
He's so frustrating, Doherty. But yeah, it's just interesting. Who he's talking about, Mourinho, when he says, "I need angry people. I need people with positive feelings," and the people who are not in the team at the moment, is very telling. I feel in that aspect, and I just wonder, how if Dyer, Dele, Bale as well didn't get any time on the pitch. Is he one of those people who is who's frustrating Jose potentially?
That Arsenal game, I reckon that Arsenal game, Jose would have lost quite a bit of trust in Gareth Bale.
Someone tagged us in a video. Where is it? That was the same one that Matt Hayes tagged us in. Where is it? Oh, let me see if I can find it again.
I like this headline from the Mirror. Jose gets a Vin and tonic.
Vin and tonic.
Love that.
Yeah, needed that. He needed it as well.
And this one as well. They're full of it this morning, the Daily Mirror. And they go, Kane relief.
This was it. Someone tagged Kane relief.
Yeah.
And I think Kane was showing yesterday he's still here to fight. I think he's always going to fight. He's one of those players, Kane, where even if, say, he did want to leave, even if he has decided,
model professional, mate.
Even if he had decided that he's going to leave or he wants to leave, he's never one to down tools. He's just not. I don't think he's that type of guy,
no.
Kane, because he knows he's only going to be hurting himself.
Yeah.
If he
puts his all into every game.
He's such a model professional. But this is a clip that was cycling around social media.
This is Sissoko's one.
Yeah, if you look at Sissoko there, just trudging around the pitch. You can see Davis, Tanganga all putting their body on the line, but Sissoko doesn't look bothered, does he? No. He comes on the pitch and he just doesn't.
I've seen that quite a few times from Sissoko this season.
Just doesn't, especially recently. He just doesn't look bothered. Look at that, just a lazy leg he throws at the ball. And it's really frustrating. And, he didn't start as well. And though, why bring him on if he's one of those players you don't trust? That's also
and he made a comment about Sissoko in the press conference as well, how he gave his all or something.
He gave his all for the real reason Dyer backed Jose backed Dyer, his long-lost Portuguese son.
Can you show that Haaland and Dane Scarlett?
Yeah, maybe let's say Mbappe.
It's the funniest thing. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but if you merge Haaland's face with Mbappe, you get the best player in the world. And who does it look exactly like? It looks exactly like who is going to be the best player in the world, Dane Scarlett.
Let's see if I can find it. Here we are. So there is. So here's the tweet. If you merge Haaland and Mbappe there, you merge them two together, that's the face you get. And who does that very much look like? Dane Scarlett. That is literally a carbon copy of Dane Scarlett. It's unbelievable. Look at that again. That is Scarlett. That is Dane Scarlett. Scarlett is a mix of Haaland and Mbappe. That's it. We've got a generational talent on our hands. This guy is a mix between Mbappe and Haaland. Unbelievable scenes. And I can't wait for him to start playing regularly for Spurs.
Let's look at the headlines from The Guardian. They're saying Mourinho urges end to selfishness with Spurs back on track. I mean, are we back on track?
Look, we got the win, so you got to say that's a step in the right direction. But in terms of, it wasn't like as good as the Burnley and Palace performances, which were really, really good. But I think it was all you got to say is a step in the right direction. It was better than the awful showing against Zagreb and Arsenal. So I think in terms of league, we kept that league form up. So we got 4 wins out of 5. So we are back on track, I guess you got to say. And it was a good performance, and hopefully we can take that into after international break, and we can learn from that. Scorpion fan for life. He's a big fan of Scorpions here. Says Toby is injury prone and can't overplay him. Dyer has passion but lacks talent. Sanchez has physicality but lacks concentration. Rodon inexperienced. Yeah, it is true. All our centre backs have their own issues, and that's why we've had such a problem with defence. You got to say, like, when you look at our back four, like, none of them are real leaders. None of them is like who of that back four of our defenders would get into any like the top 6 probably like defences? Can't think of too many. Like Toby when he's on his game.
Reguilon.
You got Reguilon there at the left back.
But apart from him,
in terms of centre backs, though, those 4 centre backs, Toby maybe when he's on form.
but even Toby, he's at the end of his career now. You know what I mean? He's not the player he was a couple of years back. So even him, like you got to say, you look at Man City team, they don't get any there. They've got world class defence. Man United.
Maguire, Lindelof. Toby potentially gets in next to Maguire, potentially.
Potentially.
Leicester. They've got Fofana, Soyuncu, Evans.
Yeah, you say Toby probably gets in that team.
Well, I think Fofana, is very good.
Yeah.
So I think Fofana would get in there. And then would you put Toby ahead of Soyuncu and Evans? Potentially. I think Soyuncu's pretty good.
Chelsea, you got Rudiger, you got Zuma.
You got Thiago Silva.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he gets in there at the moment.
And then you got West Ham, Liverpool, Everton.
West Ham he probably gets in. Everton.
Craig Dawson doing his best. He's trying to catch up on his goal tally with own goals.
Yeah, true. But then you got West Ham. Yeah, I think he probably gets in West Ham. Everton, they got Mina and Michael Keane. Probably gets in there as well. So, but he's when he's on form and he's playing every week as a very good centre back. But
I love these Arsenal fans. They're just so clueless, man.
Why?
So clueless. They're like, we only concede goals via individual errors. We only concede goals via individual errors, and that's why we didn't win that West Ham game. Mate, they scored 2 own goals. What are you chatting about? And they were like, no, but individual error. They're such idiots. It stresses me out.
Literally, exactly. The only reason they scored is because those 2 own goals. So frustrating. But what can you
idiots.
But so I don't think those 4 defenders really would get into the teams above us. But also you got to say as well, our defensive record. I think what is it now? Only City and Chelsea are better than us defensively.
Is that right?
Yeah, only City and Chelsea have conceded less goals than Spurs. So I think Mourinho is kind of doing the best he can with these set of defenders. You got to say that because we don't have the 3rd best defence in the league. We shouldn't anyway. So I think you got to say from that point of view, if we had a better defence, we would be one of the best. We would be one of the best defences in the league.
True. And Harry Kane levelled it up with Mo Salah at the top of the goal-scoring charts yesterday as well, didn't he? Both with 17 goals.
Mm-hmm.
Bruno Fernandes is second with 16, and then Bamford and Calvert-Lewin both on 14. Heung-min Son's been stuck on 13 for ages now.
Well, he scored against. Who did he score against recently? Was it Palace? Oh no, he didn't. He got an assist. He hasn't scored since West Brom. He scored against West Brom. He hasn't scored since then. This break will do him well, Son. I'm sure he'll come back really fit and fresh. I'm looking forward to that.
He hasn't scored a Premier League goal since the beginning of Feb.
Yeah, West Brom.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2-0. Also, from an attacking point of view, though, we're 4th. So we're 4th in attack and we're 3rd in defence in terms of goals conceded and goals scored.
But we're 6th in the league.
But we're 6th in the league. Classic Spurs. Just like when we were top on both and we finished 2nd.
1st in goals scored, 1st in goals conceded.
2nd in the league.
2nd in the league.
Yeah, that's classic Tottenham. But look, you got to say that it's not all doom and gloom, I guess, despite the fact that we've been a pretty bad run in the league.
It says it all here, though, that Aston Villa's win rate is 17% when Jack Grealish is not playing.
17%. That does say a lot.
The Times, the headline is Spurs pull back from what's it say? Pre-what?
Precipice.
What does that mean? I don't even know.
Pull back from the press, like from the brink, basically. That's what it means.
Jose, players were ashamed.
It's a man's reaction. There was one more question. Might as well watch it from Mourinho. There was one more question on the press conference. Let's finish it. I can't hear.
How can you make sure that...
I'm very happy for them.
Okay, last one from Jack.
Hey Jose, how can you make sure that reaction that you've provoked and the shame that the players have felt, that you can continue that through the
Exactly. That's the challenge. That's the challenge for me and for the group. That's the challenge. I told already in your colleagues from TVs, I told exactly that. That's the next challenge. We are going to lose matches, we are going to play bad, we are going to have not very good performances, but this state of mind, this emotional approach, this team spirit, this sacrifice, a guy coming from the bench like Sissoko to play 8 minutes and to give it all in these 8 minutes. This kind of situation is the next challenge for myself as a coach, but I think is more of a challenge for them as a group.
Okay, guys, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, look, absolutely spot on again from Jose, isn't it?
Yeah,
that is the challenge that we've been facing all season, pretty much.
Pretty much. I feel like a lot of the time we've had we were responding. Always, it's like our form is like how we are on the pitch sometimes. Always chasing our own mistakes, also chasing our own errors, and trying to get back in the game. And I feel like a lot of the time our performances are like that as well, in terms of always chasing a bad result after we've had a bad result. And it's all about putting in that baseline level of effort in games and not allowing ourselves to be too comfortable in games and just let it drift past us. And I think a lot of the times this season we've been guilty of that. And I think Mourinho has to take responsibility, obviously, for not motivating the players in a way that they don't have that level. But I think that ultimately the players have to take their own responsibility and they have to have their own motivations. And if they don't, then you got to say that they have to look at themselves in the mirror in that sense.
Yeah, for sure. Let's look at the Daily Mail. Kane takes the heat off Jose. Captain slams home penalty to finish off Villa as Spurs hit back after Europa League meltdown. And then it goes on to talk about the one will won't heal the scar, says Jose Mourinho. Where's the stats? These stats I want to just look at. 160. Harry Kane has scored 160 in the Premier League now, 100 shy of Alan Shearer's record. Kane has directly been involved in 30 in the top flight this season. 17 goals, 13 assists. I mean, from what was it? 2 months in the season, he was already on like 10 assists. He's only got like 3 since then.
Yeah, they tried up a bit. But you got to say, if anyone else but Harry Kane was top of both charts, there would be a shoo-in for Player of the Year.
True.
Absolute shoo-in.
True. But for some reason, Bruno Fernandes, though,
still favourite. Because they're higher up in the league than us, that's probably why.
Do you reckon that's why it is? Or is it because he plays in a different role, Bruno Fernandes?
He gets a free role midfield. Like, I'm not saying he's not impressive. Of course he's impressive. He's been fantastic this season, Bruno. But I think just it's as impressive for Bruno to have the number of goals that he has as it is for Kane to have the number of assists he has.
Yeah.
So I think you got to say they're both as impressive as each other. But Kane's got more, in fact. I think Kane deserves more credit for being probably the best player in the Premier League this season, in my opinion.
I think he's been the best player in Europe this season. I genuinely believe that. I mean, name me a player on form. Maybe you could say Haaland. Mm-hmm. Apart from, has Haaland been better than Kane this year in the year?
Yeah, Haaland's a fantastic player, but in terms of goal scoring, probably. But in terms of his all-round gameplay, I think Kane's just different animal in that sense. And like Haaland doesn't have the passing range that Kane has. I can guarantee you that. Like Kane is he's just the best at passing. He's the best at finishing. He's just an absolute phenomenal player, really is. And we're lucky to have him. But see how much for.
All right, that's the end of the papers.
Rico says, can I hear your guys' opinion on this argument? What's this argument? So, Spurs Express have tweeted out, Carlos Vinicius has scored 9 goals in 9 starts in all competitions. Rico says, 8 of his goals are against the Farmers. Then Lee says, he was also being supplied by the likes of Sissoko, Winks, Davis, who are also Farmers. Therefore, his return is very good. Then Rico says, versus Ludogorets assisted by Dele versus Wolfsberger assisted by Lamela, Doherty, Dele and Scarlett. Apart from Doherty, Scarlett, the rest are mostly assisted by quality players who prove themselves. Lee says, Dele is wank, Lamela is wank, Doherty is wank, Scarlett is a very good teenager, so you can have that. For a professional footballer to score 9 goals in 9 games against any opposition is a good return. We played with a heavily weakened side in the Europa. Take care. Do you think Vinicius deserves more credit for his goal return?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, 9 goals, 9 starts.
Well, he's got 10. I think that's his 10th goal of the season.
10th goal, 9 starts.
Yeah.
10 goal, 10 starts.
Yeah, I think 10 goal, 10 starts. Or something like that.
You can't really complain, can you? But if you're going to sign him...
He's done his job, hasn't he?
You can't spend more than 10 million on him. I'm sorry.
He's done his job, hasn't he?
Yeah, for sure.
He's done the job he was asked of him, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, he was asked
He's got a better return than Llorente's ever got.
Yeah, and I think he was pretty much tasked with helping us through the early rounds Europa League and getting those goals, and I think he did that. He did that well.
He did, but Jose didn't trust him enough to play him in the actual pivotal games in the Europa League when we actually needed to win the games. He wasn't trusted. And he wasn't trusted in the Premier League, really. I mean, 2 starts in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And hardly ever came on, and when he did come on, he was limited to like 5 minutes max. So... yes, when he's played, I think he's done his job, but I felt like he should have been trusted a bit more.
But is that on Jose or is that on Vinicius? Was he right not to trust him? On that sense, it's difficult because we don't really know until he has been trusted whether he was right to trust him. But it was...
I felt that Jose was a bit too harsh on him.
I do feel bad for him because look, his goal return's good. He can't really do any more. And I think on the back of that, if he doesn't sign for Spurs, I'm sure there'll be quite a few suitors looking at him thinking his goal return was quite good, so we can take a chance on him. So he's done his job in that sense. But in terms of the quality he's shown in against better opposition, he has been found wanting a bit potentially. And I feel like...
But when has he played better opposition? He played that game against Chelsea, but apart from that...
yeah, I mean, it's difficult to say. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. You can't just say one game and that's your chance. You know what I mean? You've got to give him a proper chance.
Maybe when he's had minutes in the Premier League, he hasn't had.
Yeah, but he hasn't had minutes. So he hasn't had the chance. So,
but maybe in training or whatnot, he hasn't impressed Mourinho enough. I don't know. It's difficult to say. But I do feel bad from him in that sense because I think he's done his job, the job he's been asked of him.
But I think with Harry Kane, when you need to win a game, the kind of when you've got Harry Kane sitting there in the squad and you've got Vinicius there and you really need to win a game, you're always going to go with Harry Kane, aren't you?
Because Harry Kane can do everything. Vinicius can only do certain things.
Exactly.
And that's the problem with him. But
I don't think that it's not that he doesn't trust Vinicius. I just think that the kind of flashing lights of playing Harry Kane, one of the best players in the Premier League, potentially Europe, then
it's hard not to
exactly. It's too much of a... I can't think of the word that I'm trying to use, but it's too much of that.
Temptation, maybe.
Temptation, yeah.
But yeah, I think Vinicius deserves some credit for his goal return, and I think people gloss over it. And I think, I think from a poacher's point of view, I think he's done pretty
comment? Good. DJ Rampant says, 10 million, you're smoking rocks. 13 goals, and assists in 10 games is better than Janssen, Soldado, and Llorente put together.
Well, yeah, Janssen and Soldado, whatever. But Llorente, I actually think Llorente had a better goal return than that, didn't he? Because I remember, didn't he get like a hat-trick against Rochdale, and he scored he's got a hat-trick against like Tranmere, didn't he?
Were they in the same seasons?
I can't remember. And I think... But I remember Llorente did get a few goals, like again cup competitions.
He scored 2 Premier League goals for us, Llorente.
Yeah, but I'm saying all competitions, just like Vinicius.
Let's have a look.
All comps should be on the right there.
Yeah. He scored. He never got that level. He got 5 in his first season with us and 8 in his second season.
All competitions.
Yeah.
So what? That's 13 overall. In how many games?
66.
Oh, wow. But then how many... But in starts, when he started games, for example, I remember when he started games against, I think it was like Watford and I think maybe, was it Fulham? I think he always seemed to make a contribution. He always seemed to nick a goal when Kane and Son were injured. I thought he stepped up pretty well. And... he's a different animal to Vinicius. Vinicius will do a lot of running the channels and stuff like that. But Llorente, his quality is different, very different. You lump it to Llorente, he'll make it stick every single time. He'll win a lot more headers than Vinicius will. But what Vinicius has is that kind of movement that Llorente maybe doesn't have. And I don't know. It's not about bashing Llorente. I think they are just different. They're different players. They often offer different things.
But the season before he joined us, he scored 15 goals with Swansea that year.
He did. He was great. He was really good before. This guy's a class. He was a class striker, Llorente.
Yeah.
He was a different class to Vinicius, in my opinion. But I think Vinicius.
I like Vinicius. I'm not going to lie. I do like Vinicius, but in terms of signing him for 45 million, that's never going to happen.
45 million. That'll never be the price if we signed him. But would I take him on for another year, or would I sign him for a cheap price to be our backup striker? I wouldn't be against it. What's
the max you would pay for him?
Maybe like 15.
15, 20 mil?
I don't know if I'd pay 20. I think I'd probably look for someone else if we were going to pay 20 for him. But I think 15 is probably worth it. I think he's probably worth it at this point. Let's look at some tweets as we're here. Ashley Chanel says, "This is what I want to see next season with Julian Nagelsmann in charge. Team of Pope, Tanganga, Skriniar, Reguilon, Rodon, Højbjerg and Ndombele, Bale, Dybala, Son and Kane." Not ambitious at all. I wouldn't mind that.
Nagelsmann as the manager, and we got Jose, mate.
Exactly. What's your opinion on Jose now? Because everyone was starting to question things after the two heavy defeats that we just had. Me too.
Me too. That's what I'm saying.
And I think it was rightly so.
What's our opinions on Jose at the moment?
I've always said that I don't think he's the main problem, and I still agree with that. I don't think he's the main problem. Where I was getting at after the Zagreb game was, if it really is this bad that the half of the squad have really turned on him, I didn't believe that we are going to have this rebuild like we did under Poch, where we got rid of like 12, 13 players. And if we're not going to do that, then it's difficult to see him lasting, because if they have turned on him already after 40 minutes, half this squad, then it's difficult to see him lasting. But if he can prove from now to the end of the season that when he picks the players that he trusts, and he can get good results from it, and he can prove himself in that way, then I think he still has a decent chance of getting top four and staying at the club. And I still think he has a lot of good things to offer, Jose. I think it'll be, for my opinion, to have a manager of his kind of ilk and CV at the club, and the profile of manager for what we want, I think it'll be very silly and hasty to just chuck him away so soon. And I know people say he's been in the job for 14 months and whatnot, and how long do you give it? I get the argument, but I just think it's been a very difficult season for everyone, this one. It's not just Spurs, it's been a difficult season for. Like a lot of clubs, it's been very, very difficult.
Look at Liverpool.
Exactly. So I'm not saying don't judge him on it. Obviously, he has to be judged. But I think if he can prove it from now to the end of the season, like maybe if we can get a few signings through the door next season, he can really have a serious impact. I still think he has a lot to give to football. I still think he's got a good mind. I don't think he's finished. I really don't think he's finished. I just think that...
Is this last chance saloon for him? Does he get another big job after this?
Depends. If he gets sacked, if his season ends miserably and he gets sacked, probably not. But I think we can still have a good end to the season. I do think that.
Well, if we win the Carabao, let's say, and finish in the top four, it's probably the best season we've had under ENIC.
It is. It's our best season in 20 years. So that's still possible, amazingly. Our best season under ENIC is still possible somehow. So I don't think you can... I think people came into this, maybe we got a bit we did obviously get a bit overexcited when we were top of the league and everything, and saying we're going to challenge for the league and stuff, and then maybe that shaped our expectations that's where we should be, and the fact that we dropped off so much, it's kind of given the impression that Mourinho is seriously underachieving because we should be challenging for the league, but in reality we never should have been challenging for the league. When we said at the start of the season the remit was get back in the Champions League and win a trophy, that is still possible. If he does that this season, he's done his job. You've got to say that. You can't argue that he hasn't fulfilled his remit. So you got to give
still
him
a tall order though.
It's a tall order, but you got to give him the opportunity to finish that, see that job through. And if he does it, then you got to say he's done his job. So it's so you got to. I think I'm waiting to judge him for the end of the season. If he doesn't do that, you would say that he has failed to do that. But on the flip side, has he underachieved if he hasn't done that? You would say he's probably underachieved. But then again, you could argue that to get in the top 4, we need to overachieve.
I also think that he thought it was a much easier job, I think, when he came into the club.
He thought the squad was better than it was.
I think he thought the squad was a lot better than it was. And he was kind of thinking he would come in, put his own stamp on things and kind of would get back to winning ways pretty soon. But he didn't realise how many idiots we actually had in this squad.
Didn't realise the rot that set in.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that there has to be something to be said about that. And I think that there are 2 stages that we need to do. We need to improve this defence, and I think that will have a massive impact in us if we improve this defence. Like maybe one top centre-back, top right-back, and I think those 2 positions will really improve us dramatically next season. And then it's about weaning out these snakes in our squad, the Harry Winkses, the Matt Dohertys, the Eric Dyers. You know what I mean? These guys need to get out the door this summer. And I still think we can be brilliant next season. I really do.
Yeah, I think
I'm firmly Jose in.
I really believe Jose. I really believe Jose has a lot to give, a lot left in the tank, and I don't think he's finished. And I wouldn't mind giving him the players to rebuild. People say, "Oh, would you really want to give Jose a rebuild?" Look, I think he's at a different stage of his career. Before I remember watching that Jose, not the Spurs documentary, the Jose documentary, and he was telling this story about his dad and about, I think his dad was a manager, and he said this story about how his dad got an offer. His dad was doing really well in his, I can't remember what job he was, somewhere in Portugal. His dad, he was doing a top job. And then he got this offer to go to a bigger club, and because he was doing such a good job at this current club, and he had all his heart was like he was really part of that club. It was part of him. So he'd rejected the job from a bigger club, and he said, "Look, I'm going to stay. I'm going to fight. I'm going to be loyal, basically, to the club that gave me this opportunity, and which I'm doing a good job in. And I'm going to reject this offer, even though it's more money, bigger club, more opportunity. I'm going to reject it because he was a man of heart," he said, and. What happened 6 months later, he was sacked, and he never got that offer, never came round again. And Mourinho said he was never going to make that mistake. So earlier in his career, I feel like, when he that's what I feel like he was. I know he got sacked and whatnot, but he was, when he left for Inter to go to Madrid and stuff like that, he wanted to kind of succeed somewhere and move on. He didn't want to stay anywhere too long. But I feel like he's at a different stage of his career. He's had all the success he's had, and he's had it in all the short-term basis. But now he's at a different stage where maybe it's about building something. I don't think he said that Spurs is the first club where he feels like there could be a project as opposed to just aiming for short-term success. And I think a lot of fans think just because Jose in his previous jobs has had short-term success and then it's gone wrong, that means at this club, if he doesn't have short-term success, it's better to cut your losses now rather than try and help him build. But I think he can build. I think you get the players that want to play for him, and you get the players that believe in him, and you get a squad of quality players. And Jose's got some pull power. He really does have pull power. This is a big, big name, one of the best managers of all time. So I think just to chuck him away because, you've had a very up and down season and it hasn't gone right for us, I think would be silly.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, I was very emotional after Thursday night, and I was questioning Jose Mourinho heavily. I even went to say the naughty three-letter word about Jose Mourinho, but I've retracted that completely because I believe in Jose, and I think that he is the right man to take us through to what we need to achieve. And I think that when everyone talks about what you were just talking about in terms of if he doesn't have short-term success, it's better to cut your losses and then to let it fester and all that. I get where you're coming from, but I think Jose has changed as a man, and I think that the way he reacts to the press and his own players, I think that shows that. And I think people are, it's a bit lazy to just go, this is what he's been like at his previous clubs, this is what he's going to be like here, but people can change, and people do change, and he's not that short-term mind anymore. He's got his family based in London. He doesn't want to be travelling all around the world like in Manchester when he was living in this hotel and his whole family were living in London. It just wasn't set up for him. He wants to live in London, we know that. His family are settled in London, we know that, and I think this is his last chance saloon for a job in London as well.
But even in terms of Man United, like Ollie at the moment, they're second. They just went out the FA Cup yesterday. They're still in Europa League, but if they don't win Europa League this year, and has he done better than Jose? He just hasn't. That's the fact. They don't win the Europa League. They got no trophies. Like Jose finished second also. So like to say like Ollie's really improved Man United and they're a much better team, I don't think is reality. I really don't think that.
I think the main problem with Jose, with Man United fans, is the way he conducted himself as a Man United manager. Mm-hmm. I think that's the main problem. It's not actually what they achieved as a club.
But it's funny because he's saying all the things the fans are saying now. He was blaming the board. He was saying the board are a big problem. He was saying, like, you expect me to work miracles with the squad I have. Yet a lot of the team, when I think it was against Sevilla, a lot of the opposition players that in that team would get into my team like this, they want me to be fighting for titles, but I don't have the tools. And all I hear from Man United fans is blaming the board. That's all I hear. But when Jose say it, all of a sudden
and we heard Woodward being blamed before Jose even came to United.
Exactly. So I think for like that whole narrative for me, like I don't think anyone's done better than Jose at Man United.
They haven't. But you know, I still think the way he conducted himself in the press with certain players, maybe just wasn't right for such a big club like Man United.
Yeah, but in terms of like, I remember I see people saying like Jose said at the beginning of his start of his career, like you can make us title challengers this season, and he was saying what praise for the squad he had and everything. But it does take time to get used to these players, especially as well when you had 3 months.
He needs to wean these players out, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, but especially when you had like 3 months where we didn't play any football, so it was hard to kind of judge on that kind of sense. It's kind of only really this season where he's had a real good look at them, and he's had and he can really identify what the problem is. And I think when obviously he comes in and obviously when the new manager comes in, everyone wants to impress him, and there's a new manager bounce and whatnot and everything. But it's only really this season when people are left out of the team for large periods and stuff like that, you really get to see who these men are, who these players are, and how people react to certain situations. And I think he's finding out now how deep-rooted the problems are. And I think even David Ornstein, when he was talking to Sky yesterday, he was saying how Jose is seen to be underachieving, but I think there's also proof that the problems at Spurs go beyond the manager, and I think there is proof at the moment that they definitely do. I think with what Lloris is saying and what we're seeing at the moment is that a lot of the problems are definitely deeper than just Jose Mourinho. And I think people, you could argue Jose is part of that problem, and you might have a good case for that, but I think
this problem predates Jose Mourinho.
Yeah, so to say there's just a quick fix, get a new manager in, and that will solve everything, and people twerking for Nagelsmann, I understand he's a good manager, Nagelsmann. I'm not trying to say he's a bad manager. I'm sure he could do a good job at Spurs. But I'm just saying the problem at the moment isn't the manager. So
Nagelsmann would need the same tools as Jose Mourinho would need.
Yeah, he would want to change everything.
Exactly.
He would need
a massive rebuild if he would come in.
Yeah,
and like Jose needs. I don't even think that we need a massive rebuild. I just think we need a rebuild in defence. I think that's what we need, and then a few tweaks in different areas.
Under
of the pitch.
Pochettino, everyone says we have this massive rebuild, but in terms of the players we signed, we only really signed Son. In that first season summer, we signed Son and we signed Toby.
Dele, no.
Yeah, but Dele was like a youngster. He wasn't like a player. Yeah,
he came straight into the team though, pretty much.
We signed him in that January, and then he took 6 months, didn't he? And then he came in. But he was, we did sign Dele, but we signed Toby, Son, and Dele came into the team. So, but apart from that, it was largely
we already had Walker, we had Rose.
Exactly, most of the players were already had.
But he made them the players they are.
The big thing he did was he cleared out those poisonous players. Yeah. That was the big thing he did. It wasn't.
But he did it much quicker than Jose was allowed to do it.
Yeah, but it wasn't the fact that Pochettino. It wasn't the fact that he had those same players and was able to do the same thing with the same players that Sherwood or AVB wasn't. That wasn't the case. It was he cleared out all that poisonous atmosphere, those people who weren't going to fight for him, who weren't going to agree with his methods. He cleared them all out. And he only had people who were positive, who were backing his methods, who believed in his way of playing. That's what he did. So I think when I see people on Twitter saying that they'll basically... where was it? I can't remember who it was. They were basically there was a guy, I can't remember his name. He was tweeting on the back of Sherwood that Sherwood basically interview resurfaced, right?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and he was saying people retweeting this saying Sherwood was right, neglect the fact that Pochettino came in and revamped the whole team, and with the same set of players was able to have a couple of title challenges. It's almost as if that a new manager can reinvigorate the players, but it just glosses over so much doing that, because it glosses over the fact that Pochettino had to get rid of big parts of the squad to have that influence on the team. And I think
13 players.
Yeah, so I think Mourinho needs to do something similar with a lot of our group.
I don't think it's that many though. I think it's probably an easier task than Pochettino had.
Yeah, he needs to get rid of Rose. He needs to get rid of.
Rose is gone. Rose is gone.
Yeah, but he needs to get out.
But his contract ends at the end of this season.
Yeah, but he needs to leave. I think him coming into the club every day probably isn't helpful.
Yeah, but you can see the end of the tunnel with Danny Rose. So.
Yeah, like Winks, Doherty,
Dyer,
like Sissoko,
Delhi.
Get him out. Just get him out. They're not fighting for you. They don't believe in you. They're getting frustrated all the time. Like, they're not willing to fight for their place. Get them out. They're not helpful to the team. They're not helping anyone.
Poisonous atmosphere.
Exactly. That's what we need to get rid of. And I believe if we do that, it could be helpful. Yeah, you can blame Jose for not getting them on side, or you can say if you're not going to fight, it's either the manager's way or the highway. And that's what I'd rather see.
You can't always blame the manager when things go wrong. Like, how long is he going to put his faith in Eric Dyer? How long is he going to try get Dele Alli back on side? You know what I mean? It's just like, sometimes you just need to cut your losses and move on. And these players have been here for way too long for that to happen now. So we need to just cut our losses.
New quotes from Lucas Moura, actually. He says, when we're on the off the back of yesterday, he says, when we're on the pitch, we just want to win. We know there are a lot of fans behind the TV supporting us. We play for our family. We play for pride, and we're all together. Then here's interesting. He says, we believe in the coach. We believe in the coach because we know his history, and we just want to be successful here. So he's showing a big show. He's always been one of Mourinho's favourites.
Yeah, but look, it's just something you say. I don't know if you can read into much of these quotes, because he says we're all together, but you're clearly not all together, are you?
Maybe the players are together all together. And then he says...
what, are you all together? You all eat breakfast together?
Yeah. And then he explained... Then Lucas explained that the usual... that the team went over the match in Croatia with a debrief meeting. Mourinho made his feelings clear. We talked about the game. The manager told us a lot of things, but it's more particular, the kind of things we need to keep between us. He has a lot of experience. He tried to motivate us, and it was a very good for the game of today. Let's go with luck. With 9 games, we have a final. Let's finish the season well. Yeah, it's been a bad week. The last 2 games were very bad. The feeling was very bad. We showed our nature, and we showed attitude in the Villa game. The good thing about football is you don't have time to cry. You have a lot of games to play. In each game, you can do differently. We did differently against Villa. We deserved the win. I'm very happy with that. Lucas also asked about his opinion on Lloris speaking publicly about the club and the players. He said, in the game against Dynamo, there's a lack of a lot of things, lack of intensity and aggression. It's difficult to explain, of course. After the game, we regret a lot. At Villa, like I said, we had another opportunity and we did well. Very good result, very good performance against strong opposition. We need to do that. We cannot change this mentality. Yes, top 4 is still possible, of course. We fight till the very end to give everything. If we play today, of course, we can reach top 4 to our objective, of course, but let's take step by step. Yeah, and then whatever other, and then they'd stop out Vinicius. He's happy he scored his first goal and stuff. But yeah, he's always been very positive. I don't think Lucas for 1 second is one of those guys who Mourinho's talking about when he's talking about people being selfish.
Of course he's not. He's our most on-form player at the moment.
And then you got a super chat here from Yin Surgeon, says the one area we are constantly outplayed is the ball in the air. We never seem to head the ball with purpose. We just seem to play it wherever and hope someone is there to pick it up. Maddening. Yeah, I think that's true. I think a lot of the time we don't win the second balls after a header, which is very frustrating, and definitely something we need to work on. Okay.
I think that's all we got time for today.
Yeah.
But look, thank you everyone for joining us today. We got through a lot. Finally back to winning ways. It is the international break now, so no Tottenham game for just under 2 weeks. Our next game is Newcastle at home or away?
We're away.
We're away to Newcastle. So we got 3 tough fixtures now coming up. Newcastle away, Man United at home, and Everton away. So I genuinely believe these next 3 games will shape if we're going to make top 4 or not. I genuinely believe that. So, look, when you look at it, these next 3 games, like I just said, will shape our top 4. But then after these 3 games, the Chelsea's last 4 games are very difficult for them. So it really could shape what we do.
We just need to be in touch, basically. If we're still in touching distance of them, but after these next 3
we
games,
just need to be in touch. Last game of the season, Leicester.
Yeah, we need to be in touch with Leicester, yeah, for sure. Last game of the season, there's all to play for. I think we need to just keep ourselves in contention going into the latter stages, and then we give ourselves a real chance. So it's very important over the next 3 games we get at least 6-7 points, I think, to really keep ourselves in touch. Otherwise, it could be very, very difficult. So there's all to play for. There's a lot to go through, a lot to see where we're going to end. I think, given that win against Villa, now I'm a bit more excited till the end of the season to see what's going to happen. We can still have a very successful season if we have a good end. But obviously after the Zagreb game, it was very difficult to see that. But a win changes a lot in football.
Yeah, it just calms you down a bit and lets you see things at a more level-headed playing field.
And it just shows that we can put in those performances when we really need to in terms of when we need a win. Like a lot of the times we haven't done that. But I think against Villa, we showed when Mourinho has the players he trusts on the pitch, we can put in good a baseline performance where players are committed and players are fighting for the badge. And hopefully, once we've weaned out the players who don't want to be here, we can start turning things around.
Exactly. And Ace Jack says, will there be any content in the next 2 weeks? You're going to be having daily content. You're going to be having content every single day. The international break is not going to stop us making content. But thank you, everyone, for joining us today. That is your morning after show. You got player ratings and the 5 takeaways coming your way today. So check out for that. Once again, thanks a lot for joining us. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.